Why did this coup fail? They had a reason. They had a way. You studied this at War College at Newport, Rhode Island. Why did this coup fail?
I think this coup, Tom, was more beer hall putsch than it was a geostrategic earthquake. In other words, the military had a set of lingering grievances that have been on a slow burn for almost 10 years. They took a shot at it, but they were disorganized. They did not have the really senior players, only one four-star officer involved. I don't think they put it together effectively, and I think the people rose up against it, and the rest of the military helped crush it.
Part of being in Europe is no death penalty. We hear talk of a renewed death penalty in Turkey. How do we adapt and adjust to the realities that Mr. Erdogan faces? How do we support him given the immediacy of something as emotional and real as a death penalty?
Tom, as we look at the aftermath of this, these numbers are staggering. There are 6,000 military, judges, prosecutors that have been rounded up. Population-adjusted basis, that's a day in the United States where 25,000 leaders have been arrested. Tension and emotion are running extremely high. I think there is a possibility that the Turkish government will seek the death penalty against the senior leaders here. How you square that against European norms is going to be very difficult. It will set Turkey back on its path to membership in the European Union.
Admiral, good morning. It's Guy in London. Was this designed to fail?
You know, there's a conspiracy theory running around, Guy, that either President Erdogan or members of his team kind of inspired this and let it bubble in order to bring a crackdown in place. I don't feel that. As I talk to senior Turkish officials and friends, as I look at the news, as I look at the body language on Erdogan himself, I think they felt a real threat from this coup, and I don't think this was a manufactured coup.
Admiral, is Turkey a reliable NATO member?
Well, historically, Guy, as you know, they have been. Turkey has been involved in every operation. When I was the Supreme Allied Commander, I counted on Turkey in Afghanistan, Libya, the Balkans, piracy. They were 100% all in with NATO. They host the largest NATO headquarters in Izmir. Yet, at this moment, I think the internal distraction that comes out of that is going to make them less reliable. In one sense, the big winner in all this is the Islamic State.
There is no quiet, Admiral, at our air base in Turkey. Explain within your experience how the U.S. has an air base, whether it's in Turkey, the Philippines, wherever, and it's controlled as well by Turkish civilians and Turkish military. Did that look odd to you Friday night when we heard of Turkish involvement off of our military base?
No, not at all, Tom. A very common construct in these bases is kind of dual key ownership, if you will. These are always going to be sovereign territories of the host nation state. Typically, the host nation will provide an outer ring of security. The U.S. will provide the inner ring of security. It's normal and logical to see interaction between the two. What was concerning was the fact that those operations were frozen. For a period of time, we didn't have effective communication into that base. And, of course, this is an extremely sensitive strategic base in every dimension.
Admiral, one of the key concerns that Europe will have as it watches events unfold is the migration deal that has been struck between Europe and Ankara. Is that deal now at risk, do you think?
I think it is not. It is in the interest both of the Turks, who are looking for the money they've been promised to make this work, as well, obviously, as in Europe's interest. NATO, the European Union, will continue to work to facilitate that zone, Guy, between Turkey and Greece, where so many of the migrants came last summer. I think because it's in the interest of both parties, I think that deal will go forward. The thing that could upset it would be a really violent French Revolution level, off with their heads in the streets kind of response, thousands sent to death penalty. I don't predict that, but I think at the dark end of the spectrum, something like that could disrupt the deal.